All right. Edge rushers, Chris. That was a long warm-up at quarterbacks.
Woo-hoo.
Thanks for hanging in there. Prospect Rundown presented by Applebee's, the 2021 Chris Simms Draft Edge Rankings.
What up, Applebee's?
Beginning at 5 from Vanderbilt, Dayo Odeyingbo.
Thank you for saying his name. Yeah. Dayo is impressive. You talk about, like, I think where you start off with him is like, okay, one, length, all right? Position versatility, and can play the weak side rush end or play what we would call the crash end in 4-3 and be able to take on tight ends and tackles. He's got that, let alone for a guy who's 6'6", 276, like
big.
Really twitchy athlete to go along with it.
Yeah.
All right. So he plays a little more upright. It's not like the most natural bending power pass rush. Speed pass rusher you're gonna see. But it's good natural bend to come around the edge. You know, he's got a really good, disruptive, quick first step. For that size, it is really impressive.
It's a big 4-3 end.
It's a big 4-3 end.
How about 3-4? Can he do that?
He could, yes. I do think he could do a little 3-4 defense
the
end.
The size would tell you he should.
He should. Now, you might even really want bigger. I think ultimately, and again, this guy has versatility to do all of those type of things. So to me, why he's one of the top 5 edge guys. One, you know, weakness in his game, other than maybe playing a little high, and I wish those legs were a little thicker, can get knocked off balance at times, but it's not alarming. Okay, so that's one weakness you can look at. You know, after that, I get into, I don't know if there's anything else other than that. You know, I'm big, and you know this, into like what do his bad plays look like.
Right.
His bad plays are, just getting knocked off balance every now and then. But for the most part, his worst plays are stalemates. You know, I think ultimately he is a true 4-3 defensive end and can do either one. Can be rush end, right? If you had a week where it's like, hey, it's a big offensive line, we need bigger linemen, and yet he still gives us an athletic presence off that weak side. But he could be a really disruptive crash end too. Tight ends are never going to win the battle with this guy. So you could play the strong side with him, and he'll be able to, like I said, tight end, tackle double teams, hold his own, do that type of stuff. And that's where I really like him. He tore his Achilles in January, and I don't know where that ends up putting him. You know, I don't think he was a first-round pick. I think he's a top 50 pick.
Yeah,
but now I don't know. And I rank these guys off of what I thought was the top 5 films, okay? You know, so there's other guys we'll talk about here in a little bit while where, maybe if it weren't for this injury, I would have made this guy number 5. But right now, you're talking about the top 5 guys I've evaluated. He would be one of my top 5 edge guys.
All right. It sounds like you like the number 5 quite a bit. Speaks well for everybody coming up in front of him.
Yeah.
At number 4, out of Pittsburgh, Rashad Weaver.
I mean, Rashad Weaver was one of the surprises of all the edge guys to me. I think you could argue, other than my top guy, this could be the most natural pass rusher in the draft. And when I say that, I just mean, the movements, first off. And I'm big into, coming around the edge, being able to dip that shoulder and get in the position we talk about so much to where, he could dip that shoulder, and now there's nothing for that offensive lineman to hit other than that low shoulder, and he's got enough strength and power in his lower legs to turn the corner and make something happen. But I think the first thing when you talk about him is just big, long, fluid athlete with sneaky explosion. He's so long, when you first look at him, you go, is he really that explosive? But you got to sit there and watch and go, wait, oh no, that's the first step off the ball. He's first off the ball every snap. It pops out that way. It's a long strider, all right? To me, in a lot of ways, he reminds me of he's a better version of Yetur Gross-Matos last year. The way he moves and stuff reminds me of Montez Sweat, the end of the first-round pick for the Washington football team. He reminds me of that type of guy. But like great hands, Paul, unbelievable at getting off blocks. Dominates tight ends. Like, oh, how dare you block me? Get out of my face. I'm going to make the tackle, and doing that type of stuff. So that's where, I really, really like the player altogether.
And you think he'll be there for consideration at 26?
I do think he would probably still be there. But,
Okay.
you know, yeah, bottom line is, like, you know, I thought he's a better player than Yetur Gross-Matos from last year for sure. And I don't know why there's not a little more chatter about this guy out there altogether.
Okay. Bringing us to number 3 out of Penn State, Jayson Oweh.
Jayson Oweh.
6'5", 257 at the Pro Day recently, ran in the high 4.3s. But, and this is really going to test what you just said, no sacks last year.
Right.
Just a redshirt sophomore, so you've got massive upside. And the way people want to measure if an edge rusher was productive, not a lot of production there.
Yeah, I know. Well, you know, well, again, he's the perfect example of, like, production's overrated. If you sat there and watched film with me, you'd just go, I don't give a damn if he made no tackles. He's the best player on the defense every play, you know, for everything he does. Freak of nature, this guy.
I think one reaction to the fact that he's just a redshirt sophomore, didn't have any sacks, and had a crazy athletic workout. All he's raw, but it's kind of a risk because, you know, you're betting on potential. Listen to you describe the way he plays, though. He sounds much further along, and like he's much more than just a guy with great numbers.
I agree. I'm glad you asked this, because I look at him and really go, I think he's one of the safer picks. You know, like the floor is like, oh, we got our starting outside linebacker defense end for 10 years. You know, and he only gets 6 sacks a year. That's all he gets. He doesn't get that. Like, that's the floor.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think there's any physical limitations at all with the player.
A best name in the group out of Michigan, number 2, Kwity Paye.
Woo, baby. Kwity will make you pay if you're in front of him. That's what I know he will do. I mean, just rocked up, thick, powerful, twitchy dude. I mean, that's where I'm excited about him. I mean, just has a thick power look where you just go, man, I think if I stuck my sharpest knife in the house into his arm, my knife's going to break. It's not going to go in.
He's got the Oweh thing. Like when we used to play Michigan, Ohio State, take a glance down the other end of the field, and you see some of those guys, you're like,
we can't block him.
What are we going to do with that guy? And he's like one of those guys.
He is one of those guys. Twitchy and power is just all that comes to my mind with this guy. I mean, like you said, it's thick. He moves, first off, he's 6'4", 272, and the way he moves and looks on film, because I usually write down kind of like what I think they look like, I wrote, he moves and looks like he's 6'3", 255.
Yeah.
Which means basically he's got incredible power and stoutness in this smaller package, basically, but he's really still a very big man. I mean, first step, again, I always go there. It's good, right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's the best in the draft, but it's real good. But like his quicks and side-to-side twitch and movement that way, that's where he wins more times than not. You know, he's coming up to the offensive tackle, and that offensive tackle is always worried about with a guy like this, his power, because he can just run you over. So it's, oh my gosh, let me brace for the power, or let me lean into him because he's about to do this. And his ability to make quick side-to-side moves and swim and do all that are really special. And that's how he wins more times than not. You know, so with the speed, he's going to do it with that. It's not going to be your traditional edge pass rusher, you know, rip around the edge and do that. That's not his cup of tea. At the end of the day, he's got 2 elite strengths, and he has elite strength and power. I mean, that to me, he is really elite. Yeah, his speed burst is not elite, all right, but his quicks are also elite. You know, his ability to go side to side and disrupt and shoot through gaps and do stuff like that, that's where he's really special at. You know, and again, I go back to his negatives. There is none. The negatives are stalemates at the line of scrimmage, and I'm big on that. You know, again, it's going to be better quality in the NFL. So if you're getting driven back a few times a game in the college level, you know, I can promise you it's going to be double that in the NFL, and that will worry you know, defensive coaches. I want him on my defense, and he affects a lot of plays. So here we are. That's another guy, certainly a top 20 pick. I look at.
The way you broke down your number 3 guy, Jayson Oweh, and Kwity Paye there at number 2, I mean, either one of those guys, if I would have blocked out the number and you said, hey, Chris is describing his favorite edge rusher in the draft, that would have fit.
Yeah.
I mean, you really like 3 and 2. So number 1, Jaelan Phillips out of Miami. I got to hear what this guy can do.
Yeah, well, this is the best pure pass rusher in the draft. I mean, I think that's where you just start more than anything. I mean, it's the most explosive first step out of anybody. So his ability to get off the ball, it jumps out. I mean, you look at it and you just go, man, the ball snapped. He's a yard in front of everybody else. Then, added to that pass rush. Yeah, again, listen, a lot of the great sack artists in the history of football have that great bend we talk about. I know there's some other ones that are not as, loose or fluid or flexible that way. But, more times than not, the great pass rushers have that ability to, again, dip that shoulder, go around the edge that way. And that, to me, is where this guy separates himself. I mean, it's special, let alone he has all the other physical things to go along with it that I like as well. But, I mean, yeah, I'll leave it there at first here.
Okay.
Just go, it's the best natural pass rusher in the draft. He's got a great look, got length, and he's got good legs. As you know, I'm always into that too.
Let me set him up a little bit more.
Yeah.
I should have done this right at the top. 6'5", 260. Just ran a 4.56 at Miami Pro Day this week. Kind of a freak show athletically. I think he was the #1 recruit, not just at his position, but in the entire nation in 2017.
Right.
Went to UCLA, had a nice, promising start to his career, concussion issues, severe wrist injury.
Yeah.
Forced him to early medical retirement from football.
Right.
He basically quit football because of those injuries. Came back, transferred, played 1 season at Miami, extremely productive. As I mentioned, an awesome pro day this week. So are you concerned at all about, I'll label a unique background that could raise some durability and maybe love of football concerns?
Yes. I mean, that always concerns me when you're talking about the head especially, right? Now, I'd be more concerned if I watched the film and went, this guy is worried about his head.
Didn't play that way.
But like Paye or Oweh, there's no regard for the body. I mean, again, I'm big into the physicality of this position. Again, if you want to draft a guy in the top 20 and you want it to be your defense to be one of the better defensive lines in football, these are positions where it's just like physical contact's got to be like breathing air. It's just be like, that's what I do. Like, I don't think. He hits, I hit. Mm-hmm. That's what I do. And I don't see any of that. Again, I see a guy that's like Paye and Oweh that just goes, got no regard for his body. There's no hesitation. Oh, the running back's running through the hole. I'm going to clobber him. I'm not just going to bring him down. I'm going to run through him and smash him into the ground. That's what I see. Oh, there's a pulling guard. I'm not going to just like, oh, let me take the hit. He delivers the hit. And, oh, you're stopped in your tracks. Now there's no hole, and I'm going to get off you and make the tackle. One of the things I loved about him is, like Paye and Oweh, they got great hands and physicality at the point of attack too. They don't wait for the offensive tackle to come block them. This is where I love Jaelan Phillips. It's set hut, and he goes and gets them and like, get off me or get out of the way. I'm going. And he's incredibly disruptive, let alone what I'm talking about with all the great natural pass rush too. So there's the great first step. There's, of course, the great, look, the great bend, the athlete of the body, the physicality matches up with it. Okay, he's got speed around the edge. All right, what's next? Oh, he's got the best speed to power out of anybody in this draft. So there's another aspect where I just go, okay, we're checking off the list of things that are really elite. Okay, let me look at his bad plays. Oh, that's right, he doesn't have any. I don't know if this guy's going to be a top 10 pick.
10 to 20.
10 to 20, there's lots of options, and I think that's where you're going to see the run of my top 3 guys go, really.
All right, that is 1 through 5, or I guess the way we did it, we went 5 through 1. Pete, let's go ahead and take a peek now at the 2021 draft edge rankings for Chris. And I'm going to start out here, make sure I get this one correct here. Dayo Odangbo, it started out from Vandy at 5, Rashad Weaver at 4 from Pittsburgh. Jayson Oweh out of Penn State at 3, Kwity Paye at 2 from Michigan, and Jaelan Phillips, #1 from Miami. Pretty good list there.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.